Hi everybody, Dr. Ahles here. In this short video, we're going to talk about the normal pH that we see inside the human body, and we're going to introduce the idea of buffers, which are things that make sure that your body's pH stays where it's supposed to be. When we talk about the pH of a solution, what we're actually talking about is how many hydrogen ions are in that solution. So a solution with a lot of hydrogen ions is going to be very acidic. A solution with not as many hydrogen ions is going to be more basic. Now, a note that might be good to make for yourself in case it's been a minute since you thought about pH. When we have something that is acidic, this is going to have a low pH, and something that's basic is going to have a high pH. So as we're thinking about the pH of the human body with a normal range of 7.35 to 7.45, comparing this to what is neutral, neutral is 7. So when we think about our descriptions here of acidic and basic, the human body is a little bit basic because it's a little bit higher than 7, 7 being neutral. Now, we want to maintain the body in this 7.35 to 7.45 range. That's normal for us. If our pH happens to go lower than 7.35, we enter a state that's called acidosis. And if our pH goes above that, something above 7.45, we enter a state called alkalosis. And if you consider what you've learned in the past about proteins, it's really important for the way that the enzymes in your body that are proteins, for them to be able to function, they need the right pH. This is why we have to maintain this pH so closely in the human body. Notice it doesn't take us that far outside of these alkalosis and acidosis stages for the body to die. We simply are not able to live with too many or too few hydrogen ions. When we think about the pH in the human body, the odds are kind of stacked against us in terms of the number of hydrogen ions that are going to be present. So many of the normal processes that your cells use to live generate acidic things at the end. So let's look at some examples of this. When we do the process of respiration, meaning we're building ATP from our glucose, this makes carbon dioxide. And when carbon dioxide levels rise in your body, it's turned into carbonic acid. That's an acid, meaning it's making us more acidic. If we have to process glucose without the presence of oxygen, what we make from that is lactic acid. If we break up our proteins to use them as a food source, again, we've got amino acids, phosphoric acids. Same deal when we metabolize lipids, we make things like fatty acids. So we have a lot going on in our body in the normal day-to-day function that's creating things that want to drop our pH. This is why the body has several different buffering mechanisms in place to ensure that we stay close to normal. So we're going to talk about how we have chemical buffering systems. Like it mentions, this is the first line of defense. It's going to be activated the most quickly. But we also have what we call physiological buffers, and these are going to be things that are a little bit more effective. They take a little bit longer to kick in, but they're going to be a better way for us to address changes in pH. So when we're looking at the body's buffering as a whole, we have kind of this normal range. Buffering in the human body basically comes down to how much of this carbonic acid stuff and how much of this bicarbonate do you have in your body, in your bloodstream. When we eat, when we drink, when things come into or leave our body, that's going to alter this balance of bicarbonate and carbonic acid. So we're going to use 3 different buffering systems to make sure that there's not too much change going on in here. So the first kind of buffering system we're going to talk about are the chemical buffering systems. So we're mentioning this one first because, again, it is that first line of defense. Chemical buffering systems rely on things that are already present in the body. So this is going to be things like bicarbonate or phosphate inside your cells. We can change the forms of these 2 chemicals to either absorb or release hydrogen as needed. But your body's proteins also act in a similar way. They're going to absorb or release hydrogen ions as there are changing conditions inside your body. The next line of defense, the next maybe perhaps quick response we can have to pH changes is the respiratory buffer system. Notice that this will typically kick in with just a few minutes of a pH change, whereas the chemical buffering system, always in place. It's good to go. When we talk about the respiratory buffering system, this is primarily going to come down to releasing or not releasing carbon dioxide. Because remember, when we have carbon dioxide inside the body or inside the body's tissues, this is going to lead us to generate carbonic acid. So if our body has a pH that's too high, we're very basic, we will decrease our respiratory rate so that we make some more of this carbonic acid. Or on the opposite, if our blood pH is too low, we're acidic, we'll breathe a little bit more quickly to get rid of some of that carbon dioxide. So first way we address things, chemicals. Second way we address them with the respiratory system. But the most effective way that we buffer the body is using the renal buffering system. And when we talk about the renal buffering system, we're talking about something that's going to take within hours to days to really kick in. But the renal buffering system is so powerful that it's going to have effects that are very long lasting. And we can see this when we're thinking about the level of bicarbonate that's present in the bloodstream. When we look at bicarbonate in the bloodstream, we actually have what we call an alkaline reserve, meaning we've got this abundance of bicarbonate that's just chilling out inside our bloodstream. That's because, remember, all of those processes that we talked about make acidic products. The kidneys will maintain this bicarbonate reserve, this alkaline reserve, so that as we do metabolism, as we break things down, our blood pH isn't going to go crazy and get way too low. So we'll explore each of these buffering systems in more depth in future videos, but keep in mind we need to stay within our normal range, 7.35 to 7.45, and we use these three types of buffering systems to ensure that we stay there.